Hey everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of the Bookish Spuds podcast. I'm Kerry-Ann,
And I'm Megan.
and today we're going to be discussing bookish tropes. Are you excited? I know that you love a trope.
I'm excited for a trope. A trope is something that I've only discovered maybe in the last 3 or 4 years when I've really got into romance books. It's something I think goes along with any romance book I pick up. I like to see what tropes are in it and whether I'm going to like it.
Yeah, and for starters, I remember in the first episode I was saying that I don't really understand tropes, and I've done a bit more research on it. And I actually know quite a lot about it, more than I thought I did. So if you're new to bookish tropes, and I'm sure if you're on social media, it's not something new for you, bookish tropes are continual themes in books, a lot different than what a genre is. For genres, we will have romance, paranormal, mystery, adventure. For a trope, we will have grumpy sunshine, friends to lovers, enemies to lovers. It's a continual theme in different books. We'll see a lot of them on Instagram. We will see them listed as marketing ploys to try and attract new readers. I mean, if you are a fan of Grumpy Sunshine and you see that Grumpy Sunshine listed on that image near the book cover, you're going to grab it straight away. It's going to catch your attention. So, listing the different book tropes for social media and going about how it's all popular at the minute, it's really great to start using tropes. Hoping I've explained that a wee bit, but do you have anything else to add?
I feel like for me, I feel that I mostly pick up books now because of book tropes. That's what I'm looking for when I'm going to buy a book. I like to see a list of what they are. And whenever I'm on social media or Instagram in particular, and I see a book, I always like to see the themes that are listed. And if there's like one thing that I love, straight on downloading the book. It's kind of the way I go. But there's like tropes that I am drawn to instantly. And I know there is some too that like if you like see that word, you're like, oh, that is for me.
Yeah. Like there are some tropes that I love. And then there are also ones that I'm like, if I see them, I'm like, nope, but I will tag you in them if I know it's something that you'll read. Because I know we have a lot of different interests and tastes in Bookish tropes. So I do want to discuss that as well because we are quite opposite. We both read romance. We are both heavily influenced by romance books. They seem to be the main genre of what we read. Then we go down and we sink our teeth further into that. And that's where we get the tropes from, which is what I'm really excited about. So shall we talk about the ones that we love or the ones that we not so much love to start with? The positive or the negative?
I feel like maybe start with the ones we do like because we have ones that are similar that we like. However, some of my ones that I absolutely love, they are literally ones that you hate. So we can see where we're going because I know enemies to lovers is one that like is both at the top of our list.
I love enemies to lovers. I love when it's just they dislike each other, they don't get along. It's the wee nitpicking, not name calling, but the flirting. They're like me and enemies, but they're not.
Thinking with enemies to lovers is hard to explain because I feel like enemies to lovers and love to hate can be like so close and similar. I never realized like when I was looking for a romance book and I seen enemies to lovers, I didn't realize that for years that is the books that I have been reading, but there just wasn't like a name that I was able to put it. Those were the books that I was drawn to. And a good enemies to lovers is definitely a good one.
I think another one that we are quite drawn to as well is Grumpy Sunshine.
Grumpy Sunshine is a new one to me and one that I just think is so good.
Grumpy Sunshine to me is basically the Mills and Bin books I've been reading for years. She's really happy and sunny and she's all fluttery and stuff. And he's
And light.
What is it?
He's all kind of sweetness and light and positive.
Yeah. And he's just no, he's down, he's bossy, and he's just in charge and he's not at all sunny. That's every Mills and Bin book I've read. It's like Natalie Anderson's, Janelle Dennison's. They are all like that and I love them. All their Mills and Bin books are, which I love, I adore.
Grumpy Sunshine, as I said, is something that's new to me and it's something I only really discovered last year as a genre that I really like. And it was Lucy Score's book, Things We Should Know by Now. I think I never get that title right because there's so many words in it, but it was her book that really made me like Grumpy Sunshine. I've noticed over the last while there's some books now where in the Grumpy Sunshine it's actually the male character is Sunshine and the girl is grumpy, and that's not something that I've read before, but it's something I would like to look into to see if I kind of like it when the dynamics are turned.
That sounds interesting. I'm not too sure how I'd feel about that, but I definitely would want to give it a go.
There was one I actually seen a few days ago and I can't remember the name of it. I need to check it out, where the female character was the grumpy one. I was thinking I might relate to it more because in that situation, I probably would be the grumpy one anyway.
You're definitely the grumpy one. I'm definitely
I
the sunny one.
definitely be the grumpy one in the grumpy sunshine relationship. I really, really like small town romances. You kind of get that feel of a small town and everybody knows each other. And even in a small town, there's like big families too. I just like the coziness of a small town romance.
I'm a city girl. I love the big cities. I love the nightlife. I love reading all about that. I'm not really into small towns where everyone knows each other. I don't really care for the she's fallen in love with the guy that saved her kitten from a tree, like when they were in high school. I'm more for the CEO boss in LA.
That is terrible. I love the guy that saved the kid from the tree.
I
That
can
is
see
like,
by your face was just like full on shock mode.
if the guy saved the kitten from a tree for me, I would be like, oh, yes, I love you saving my poor cat from the tree. I love a small town romance. I do like books set in the city, but I love a close knit community. And I feel like even though you have the romance in the small town, you have so many other characters that are usually introduced into the book, really amazing side characters and small town characters that are really funny. Is there any other genres you really like that you would like to talk about?
Tropes, not genres.
Genres. See, even I get confused. To me, these are my go-to genres now because I only do read romance. I'm not looking for a genre. I'm just looking for my tropes, so I get all confused still with them.
I feel like genres could potentially become like perhaps like dated in quite a few years. Like it might, as more people are continually using social media and posting about tropes, a lot more people will know tropes over genres.
I think as you're going on, and I think me personally, as I'm older, I know what genres I like, so I know which ones to gravitate towards. And the same thing with tropes. I know what I'm liking more, so I know which ones I'm going to pick out of my list of loads of tropes that I really, really do like.
Another one for me I love is fake relationships. Read a book before Christmas where the female lead is flying home for Christmas and she's not been home for quite a while. And it was incredible. She meets him, he comes with her, and then she goes to his kind of family and pretends to be his girlfriend, and it all ends up so amazing. And it's the most romantic book I have read in quite a while. Even thinking about it, I want to reread it. Even just talking about it.
I feel like that's kind of every plot in a holiday romance that like they meet up at an airport and they have this fake kind of relationship. I actually need to figure out what that book is because that sounds really good. Can you remember the name of it?
I will have a think about what that book is and I will let you know in the comments below because I know it's something Megs you'll really want to read. So I'll have a think. It's either on my Goodreads or it will be on my Kindle. So I'll write it down and let you know. Are there any tropes that you're not so keen on?
There's two that always comes to mind and books that I'm not drawn to. And that is a rock star romance or a cowboy romance. And I don't know why. I feel like I've read a kind of rock star romance years ago and I just didn't really like it. I think it goes back to me like in small town romances and the kind of rock star ones are kind of all lavish. And a cowboy one, there's just something about a cowboy romance that I just can't get into.
I get that. I know there's something we don't like, which is love triangle.
Oh, I hate a love triangle. I used to really, really like it. If we're going back to the good old days of Twilight, when the original love triangle I read, I really liked it back then. Obviously, I was rooting for one more than the other, and I read loads of love triangles. It was a big, big trope for like 3 or 4 years in all the books. But now I literally hate it. I just want one man, one woman, one girl, whatever it is, just two people vying for this relationship, not like 3 or 4, or sometimes now there's like 5 or 6.
For me, I hated the original. It's like, as you mentioned before we started recording, the OG love triangle, which is Jacob, Edward, Bella. And we were pitting for opposite sides of that. I know you mentioned you don't like rock star romances. I am keen on a rock star romance. I read last year, I devoured Emily Childs for Love and Rock books. They are incredible. I think I read 3 in a week. They are so good. And their rock star romance, they reminded me a lot of Foo Fighters, which is why I really loved reading about them, because the music and the way they were talking about the industry, it was really exciting to read. There are quite a few I will not read. I don't like anyone in peril. I don't like the damsel in distress. I don't like the kidnapped. To me, that's going to be a bit too far for me. I don't like the forced proximity where there's like romantic cabin away and there's only one room left with a double bed, because of course it's a double bed. It couldn't be 2 single beds. Most hotels separate their beds. For me, that is something I don't like. They're tropes not keen on.
Let's say those tropes that you disliked are ones that I do like. Obviously, we want the woman or the main person to fight for themselves and save themselves. But I do like a damsel in distress. I think it's probably because I like a protector bodyguard scenario. So I do like the damsel in distress. And forced proximity is quite good, especially as you said, the kind of cabin in the wood, the one bed. I read a book at the beginning of the year and it was set in the wilderness and there was of course one bed and she was a damsel in distress. So all those genres that you just did not like.
I will sleep on the floor. I'm happy to sleep on the hardwood floor. I wouldn't even share the room. I wouldn't even get past reception desk. I'd be like, no, I've paid for my room. I want my room. It's like, it's 2023. This doesn't happen. If it does happen, it's like, no.
It happens in romance books.
That's the thing. It's all fiction. Do you know what I mean? I'm okay for fiction, but they're the tropes I wouldn't be too keen on. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like bodyguard. I like bodyguard that's been hired, let's say, for protection. There's the ones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I absolutely adore her book where he is hired to be her protector. That I'm totally okay with. There are some tropes I'm good with and some that I'm not so good with. Another I'm not so keen on is men in uniform.
Man in uniform. I do. I just love a man in uniform. I think in particular the books, a lot of the ones I read are kind of ex-Navy SEAL. Do you know that kind of romance trope where they've come back from combat and mostly they all start off with protective agencies where they all beside to become bodyguards. I feel like that is literally what everybody seems to do. But I don't know how you cannot like a man in uniform.
That I'm okay with, like ex-Navy SEAL, Marines, I'm okay with. Army, I'm not a fan of police or anything like that. I'm ex-Marine coming back, starting up like a bodyguard business, getting his like beefy friends in to protect, and I'm okay for that. I'm not in for the local policeman down the road coming in and just I'm here to be protective. It's like, no. For me, I want it all in romance. I'm wanting the big protective agency.
I kind of agree with you there. I don't like police officers or anything like that. I like an FBI agent. I think it's like your standard policeman. I like the extreme, the Navy SEALs, FBI, but nothing else in uniform.
It's like we're reading it. I'm okay with those TV shows to watch. I love it in TV format. But in books, it's different. I'm okay for watching, like I love like 911 and I really want to watch The Rookie on TV, but for books, I need the extreme.
I definitely think that there is that because there's certain things I won't read, but I love watching on TV. I would like to say you need to watch The Rookie because The Rookie is amazing.
I feel like I'm on like part 126 on TikTok that people keep recording and uploading, and it makes me really want to read it. I got so far into watching them on TikTok off 911 that now I've watched both 911 and 911 Lone Star.
With TikTok though, it gets me into TV shows, but it's the same gets me into books because people can literally flash up a 10-second video saying like showing the book cover, showing these tropes, and I'm like screenshot. I need to get that book and download it straight away.
So is this going to be what our next episode could be about? Hyped books? Are hyped books worth the hype?
Oh, I think that is definitely a good topic. I have a lot to say on hyped books. I used to be not for them, but now I am. So I think that would be a good discussion for our next episode.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much for listening.
We will see you on the next episode.